The last episode, when I checked out a ton of secrets, one of the secrets was that you could go back here and go to the Ice Palace area, and there would be some extra dialogue. I just wanted to see if there was anything else you could do here, because there's the money guys over here. These guys. You guys, since Tenna is usually here to shoo them off. Hey, Chris, wanna play money? Wait, where's the boss? Let me take an unsanctioned break. Okay, so they just up and leave. Alright. Does anything happen if I go to the little area of love? Because I know something allegedly happens if you go there in the weird minigame, which I will hopefully be doing later, this episode. Because you can go here. Okay, nothing actually happens if Tenna's not here. Okay. I want to check that out. I don't think there's anything else I can really look at. I do know you can, go to the other area that was only accessible in the, secret minigame. But I don't know if there's any new dialogue there. I know there is if Tenna's with you, but, you know, can't hurt to just, triple check, I guess. Alright, can I look through these? And okay, I can't. So I know if you go this way, over on past the Rainbow of Love. I think, no, wait, up there's the Snow Palace. And I think if we keep on going this way, hopefully there's the thing that I'm trying to find. Hopefully. Yeah, this. Whoa, what's in there? Yeah, we can't get past here because there's the bush, but this is, man, I wish we could get in there. That's, the area that you get to in the secret minigame to get the raft. Just felt like showing it off. Anyway, I'm gonna go try and get a T rank. Okay, so there's apparently a couple little secret things here if you just go a bit more exploring, on the raft, because there were also some other secret stuff in the first one, if you went exploring, which, after you, got everything done, which, you know, I found. I'm proud of that. But, I didn't look too hard here. I did find one of them. But I think I'm just kind of going to want to explore here. I didn't do the first minigame, so if I try and enter the Ice Palace, it'll just hit me with the "aren't you forgetting something?" and then kick me out, and that Ram will be like, "Hey, bub, you need to, like, do the first one." Also, I realized we're watching Black. I called Ram, she a lot. I'm pretty sure they're a boy. I don't know. Oh, hey. Okay, that's neat. It just directly tells me that. Okay. If you go there in, if you go there with the ice key, it says, that you need to go to the Northern Wind. And it also plays this track called Northern Wind, which is only heard there. Anyway, now that I think about it, the fact that I don't have the key probably means that whatever's over here won't work. Because I know... At least I thought I knew. Okay. Oh, nope, you can go here. And it sends you to the basement. And Tenna's here. Phew, finally, some peace and quiet. I wonder if they even like the game. I'm trying my best to make it fun, but... here and there, strange things are showing through. Oh, why did I base it off this stupid old thing? Chris, oh Chris, if you could just smile, laugh. Tell me I'm doing something right, please. What the? I hear footsteps. No good. I need to make my getaway. Alright, neat little thing. Yeah, I missed that. I don't think there's anything else here. It just leads to a wall. I'll head over to where the lawnmower minigame is, but... I don't know. Also, just this neat little Tenna lore that they really do just want to make Chris be happy, you know? Whether that's for their own selfish reasons or just because, you know, because there is that one line in the Tenna fight, which is like, I taught you how to laugh and cry, it's not my fault you forgot how, which is still a crazy thing to say. Oh my goodness. Anyway, is there anything over here? Ooh. Please don't say the key was forgotten. Okay, well, you know what? I'm just gonna look up what's there. Hey, everybody. Shout out to Troll Deer Slop, for posting this video. They actually have a good lot. They actually have, like, all the, secret stuff that was in the minigame, so shout out to them. This is what's in the lawn room. Go to Northern Light. And it plays the funky song. Yeah, that's... I really didn't miss anything I haven't seen before. Hey, everybody. Sorry, yeah, no, I know this is supposed to be a yap video about something. I don't really know what yet. I presume it's gonna be about how this foreshadows the SnowGrave. Not SnowGrave, sorry, Weird Route. I just really have to give this game props for having a ton of secrets in these little secret sections that not a lot of people really ever knew about. For example, I don't know what that was. Okay, yeah, no, allegedly there's supposed to be eyes. Like, the eyes that the cat guy has. Allegedly. But I don't know what else is there. Anyway, I'm gonna go toss it on to Future Me, who's gonna talk about how creepin' darker. Okay. I shouldn't be making... This video is supposed to be about something entirely different, and I shouldn't just be making a bunch of secret stuff. But you can play a car racing game here. Ah! Me? No, I'd rather just watch YouTube. Fine, Chris, let's go. Alright. Yeah, you can just kind of push random buttons here, and it's like... Man, it's like you're not even looking at the screen. Now, however... A little bit there is you can just push stuff, does random stuff, and then Susie says you're not looking at the screen. However, it is possible to win this by going to the left, all the way up, to the right, all the way down, and down to the left. Chris, you won! How the heck? Alright, we're done. Yeah. Just a neat little thing you can do. Anyway, I'll see you guys in like 5 minutes. After I stop being dumb. Okay, so since I've already spent a good portion of this video just exploring the other secret minigame, I want to do a little bit more here. Mainly first, the reason why I'm playing this again is because the clip you guys just saw of me in this secret minigame was a clip of me being stupid. Maybe a bit more stupid than I anticipated. Anything? How long do you have to wait around for this? Goodness gracious. Unless if I got something wrong and it just doesn't happen. Nothing, anything here. Oh, hey, there we go. Okay. Well, yeah. And there's Friendo's mouth, and in here... Is it track based on, like, steps in the room? There we go. And there's his eyes. Now, the other thing I wanted to check is over here, because over here there's a room. In here, okay. No. I am going to presume... Oh, what the freak? Oh, after you go into out of bounds, it just sends you to tree hell. Okay. Oh, alright. Okay, that's how it works. Then you can't leave. Okay. Alright. Curious. Anyway. Okay, so I lied. I decided to replay the entirety of Chapter 4 again, because I missed something very stupidly. I was this close from finding it, but I didn't. It's not this, by the way, it's something else, but I just remembered that I saw that if you go over here, it's the Monster Candy Basket from Undertale. I don't know how I missed this. This isn't why I'm playing the entire game again, but, you know, it's here. Dude, the old man was wrong. It's totally the right way.
Susie, I don't think you should take that many.
Dude, wrong? Okay, hold on. A container of candy says, please take one. You took a candy. You got darkener candy. Container of candy says, please take one. You put your hand in the bowl of candy. Huh? The center of gravity has shifted. Chris, you greedy dumbass. Now we have to eat them off the ground. Oh. We can just... This is all because we didn't eat it faster. Or I'll say stop being such a wimp and help. Like, at least pretend to eat the candy or something. Got it. This is such a wonderful game. Why can you do this? I'm just concentrating on unwrapping them. So. Okay, well, I'll see you guys in a second, and then after that, maybe I'll start the actual video. I'm sorry for the people who came here to actually see the video, but I'm probably gonna have a timestamp at the beginning saying, like, hey, Okay, so now that I'm back here, I wanted to first actually talk about how the dialogue here is very interesting. Because what do you call a man with one eye? Why does the angel make its cry? Who will call the girl who snows? I don't know. Ha ha ha, I don't know. What do you call a man with one eye? How do you something angels cry? Who will call the girl who snows? Ha ha ha, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what that means, but I do know that in my first playthrough of this game, I went over here, saw the roots things like, oh my god, it's the website. There's this, which I'm pretty sure is the solution is along as of like, lost children followed the pointed tail where the forest would grow, the poor children, which obviously brings back to that one prophecy we saw about there being a pointed tail of hell. Anyway, in my first playthrough of the game, I checked over here, and then I checked over here. What I didn't do was check over here. The place where there's a book you can read. Anyway, there's a peculiar book here. Read it? Sure. And so wept the falling star, making rivers with its tears. Then, slowly, from the bitter water, something grew. It looked like glass. Obviously, that brings to thought shadow crystals, right? Because that's the whole thing. The whole thing is that it's like glass. I still have one in here because I didn't give it to Sean because I just went to bed. Never mind. Nope, I'm dumb. You held the crystal up to your eye for some reason, no matter how you look. Right, the prophecy text does not warp from the crystal's lens, yes. Also, if you do it in Noelle's house, it says that she's close to you and whispering something. I don't know. That book is something I'm going to talk about later, probably. I just needed to show it off, and hopefully, that's all that is left in the game. For real, this time. There's no other secrets that I haven't found that I care to cover. Right? I know Tenna has 3 different check dialogues, depending on if you have the Dealmaker equipped or not, or if you've done the sword route, and that's something I'm not going to cover, because I don't care. Not that I don't care about it, I just don't want to have to replay the entire game for it, okay? There's nothing else, and I swear to goodness gracious, if like a week from now, I see that if you interact with a random wall right before the Titan fight, it sends you to a different room, which lets you talk to the NPC that was in that one area with the lights that you couldn't reach and was doing a funny dance, then I'm going to be very mad. Anyway, hopefully here for the last time is the actual video, once I can find out how quickly it takes for me to get this. I'm not going to get the egg, I just want to see how long it takes. There we go. Nice. Thank you, past me, for making me have to put a little disclaimer at the start of the video that the actual video only starts like a couple minutes in. Anyway, hello everybody. Welcome to the first Deltarune Theory video that I'm making since the release of chapters 3 and 4. I did a playthrough of chapter 3 and 4 on my channel, so if you want to watch a semi-decent one with semi-decent quality where I scream at a chair, you know, check the playlist. Anyway, this one's going to be about the future of the weird route in Deltarune and how we can use the things that we have seen in Deltarune's chapter 3 and 4 to predict how the rest of the weird route will play out throughout Deltarune. Now, obviously, I start all my videos with little disclaimers at the start. This will obviously include chapters 3 and 4 spoilers. You should definitely play them, or at least watch a playthrough of them, since they are both very excellent. I am dumb and stupid, which is just my own self-deprecating way of saying that these are just theories, and I'm not, you know, always going to be the most qualified in the theorizing aspect, and I, you know, probably am going to mess up some things. You know, if you disagree with something I say, feel free to put it in the comments. I read those a lot, and am very glad whenever I see a little notification that someone decided to put their little words under my little video. Anyway, it's also only been like a week since Deltarune Chapter 3 and 4 came out. I've tried my best to cover every little secret thing I can, but there's a good chance I missed something, so if I did, and if whatever I missed is important to this video, then I'm sorry for not covering it. Anyway, starting off pretty basic and simple, what the hell was Chapter 4's weird route? Cause, it was, pretty terrifying to say the least. Anyway, just a short summary for those who don't know, you go to Noelle's room in Noelle's house, she's like, hey, last night you came up to me and said, hey, I'm sorry, and I'm so glad you're back, but then then Chris is like, hey, shut up. And Noelle's like, why should I shut up? No one's gonna hear. And then we're like, but I'm going to hear. Ah! And then you go scary. You go, hey, I have a thorn. I'm gonna stick it in your ring. Now there's some other minor-ish differences. One of the least minor being the fact that when Susie goes to write down all the notes and Ralph says like, hey, you should like close your eyes and think of her. If you tell her, I don't want to do that, I'm going to do it for Noelle, then the little red dot of pain and suffering appears, and you hear, well, I don't actually know if it has a voice to it, but it's probably Noelle saying thank you. Now, this was actually foreshadowed from deltarune.com/chapter4, which contained the same dot, and clicking on it sent you to an area with a ton of other buttons laid out in the keyboard format. And as I explained in my Samson Sweepstakes 2 video, this parallels with the keyboard, and that certain letters lead to E, and others to M, which, you know, we can also see from the fact that one of the dialogue choices in the weird route is to just say, it's me, you know, real Golden Freddy style, to Noelle, pretty much making her see that there is someone else in Chris. And also, all the ones with M unspell out to thank you, which you can go to deltarune.com/thank you, and it has that whole thing. Anyway, after continuing on from this text box, you get the red screen of death, and then it just goes away, and everything goes back to normal-ish. Now, there's some other minor differences, like Chris kicks the candles if you choose to pray for Noelle, and if you try and say you're not going to play piano ever again, Chris bites their hand to stop you from saying it. I didn't put it on here, but there was also a weird dialogue choice with Susie where everything goes like a weird tealish tint and you have no dialogue choice, and it's a very weird thing. It's not on here because I genuinely can't explain it. I don't know what it's trying to tell us. Anyway, speaking of not knowing what things tell us, what does any of this mean? Well, as I said in my Spamton Sweepstakes 2 video, I thought that Deltarune.com/Chapter 5 was a bit of a weird route roadmap. With, you know, because 1 is small and hidden because it has nothing to do with the weird route, while 2 is huge because it, you know, starts the weird route, you know? So my theory for 3 was that it was, you know, since it was big and hidden, you would either, you know, have to do something really big to change it, but the story itself wouldn't change, or that the story itself would change really big, but you didn't have to do anything. Those were both wrong. Instead, we have an optional mini game where that heavily correlates, parallels, hints at the weird route that is gotten by getting to the S room or the Z room. If you don't know what the Z room is, if you get the worst possible rank, you get a special room by talking to the guy. I'm pretty sure I had it in my last video. It just has like a telephone and has some neat little spam tenna lore for all you rats that like that ship. That's not me dunking on the ship, by the way. I just, you know. Anyway, there are some parallels with it there, obviously. You know, it directly saying the Forbidden Path began with ice magic. The fact that you can get a girl in a white cloak who's later referred to as a she. So, yeah, it's a girl. Duh, it's meant to be Noelle, and she makes the crystals, which are in the exact same shape as the SnowGrave crystal. And then there's this little area, which has the exact same shape as the little manhole area that you go into after you SnowGrave Birdly. Now, one thing with the Birdly thing is that there is a blue penguin that you are forced to SnowGrave to move on with the minigame. However, in an earlier minigame, you can also kill the same penguin. It doesn't change anything as far as I'm aware. You can just kill Birdly twice. I genuinely don't know what this is supposed to mean, honestly. Another little parallel, this one's a bit more of a stretch, but the area in which you get the sword in the first minigame is the same area that in the regular minigame is the mail room. And Tenna mentions a male guy, which is later revealed to probably be Spamton. And in the SnowGrave route, Spamton gives you the Ring of Thorns. So, you know, that one's a bit more of a stretch, but, you know, anything that we can really just use to parallel it, you know? I said you know too many times, and now it's weird. Anyway, we know that there are weird route parallels in the sword route, which is it's called the sword route in the files, I'm pretty sure. But what else in these minigames can be used to parallel parts of the weird route that we haven't seen yet? Now, the first one, which is pretty major one that I think most people who've played this minigame would probably think of, is when you are, like, semi-forced, not really forced because you don't need to do it, and the whole thing with how your choices matter, yada yada yada. Anyway, to continue on in the third minigame, you need to kill Susie and Rousey so as your companions in it. So, as one would expect, this probably parallels with that you probably need to kill Susie and Rousey if you want to complete the weird route. However, this happens before you go to the room with the manhole in it that heavily, you know, is meant to literally just be the manhole area after you beat Birdly. So that would imply that this whole killing Susie and Rousey thing would happen before that in Chapter 2. Which probably means that this is actually just symbolizing that you have to go out of your way to not be with Susie or Rousey to do the major stuff in the weird route. You know, the same thing happens in Chapter 4. All the big weird route stuff is usually when you're alone-ish. However, this also happens after you've already SnowGraved Birdly. So, it's possible that we probably don't really need to interpret the sword route in a chronological sense. You know, it's possible that we are going to have to kill Susie and Rousey, and it's just, you know, overthinking it, maybe. I don't really know. Now, after you do this, you go into the manhole, you go into a weird version of the basement in Queen's Mansion. I'm pretty sure the theme is like the exact same, just more 8-bit. However, this is a little weird because you never actually go to the Queen's basement in the weird route. You know, you can try to go, but then Spamton's like, why don't you go play Minecraft or something? Because he's too busy changing forms. Now, I think this is the area that we're really going to need to think about and just look at when we're trying to predict the future of the weird route. Because there's a lot of very specific rooms in here, one of which being this one, which, mind you, has exactly 7 flower enemies. And one of the enemies in here has a, it's yellow, and it shoots a red spear at you. And after you defeat all 7 flowers, it builds a bridge, and then it just immediately charges straight at you. Now, is there any other character we know that has a relation to the, 7 flowers, having a sort of yellowish body and, having a red spear? I mean, with the whole fact that Chapter 5 is shaping up to probably be about Asgore and his whole thing, because there's the prophecy about it, and there's also whatever he's doing in the Holidays' parents' room. However, if we are paralleling this with the weird route, there's a good chance that this isn't looking good for Asgore, and we might have to kill him in the weird route. Yeah. Also, this doesn't really relate to anything, but Noelle says she has like 7 headless cats in one of the Cat Pedders games. The number, I stated in my video, but the number 7 comes up a lot, so I don't know. Maybe the Chapter 5, maybe Chapter 5, Dark Fountain, the flowers are all gonna be Friend, because Friend's a cat. That's my theory. Anyway, another room is this one where Chris is here with this little black thing with blue eyes that parallels the movements of the 8-bit Chris. And then after you press both buttons, you now control it, and then as soon as you get close to Chris, they kill it. Now, the interesting thing with this little NPC is that it has placeholder sprites for being a black deer. You know who else has placeholder sprites for being a deer? The White Cloak. And we know the White Cloak is Noelle, and, we know that neither Rudy or Carol are black deers, and I'm not saying that whoever this character is a black deer, but there's a good chance they're a deer, and, I probably don't have to be subtle for this. We might have to kill Des in the weird route. However, these are unused, so we don't really know if this is something that we should really be using in terms of theory crafting. I never really like using unused stuff to try and say how a story is going to go. However, this is Toby Fox, and Toby Fox has already used unused quote-unquote content in the form of whatever character is in the weird text void. I mean, which is unused on purpose. I mean, it changes depending on what chapter you're playing. So, I think Toby Fox wouldn't put something that could have major story implications unused for no reason, because he knows the fan base that he has. I mean, literally, before he even got his games to be like overtly extremely famous, Undertale, very first patch, just when it came out, had a thing in the files telling people, hey, don't spoil the mysteries that you can find in the files, So, I don't think that Toby left this in for no reason. I think this figure is Des, who is also, she's probably the knight, let's be honest here. And we are probably going to have to kill her by our own hands, mind you. We aren't using Noelle here to SnowGrave her. I think this is, like, dead. Same thing with Asgore. I think we're, the full no mercy route, you know? Asgore only survives one route of Undertale. You know? Really makes you think. Anyway, there are some other rooms here that I don't really understand. I feel like I'm supposed to because they're awfully specific. Like, there's this one room with the pink singing thing, and that when you defeat it, the white things attack you, and then after that, all the white things in the area attack you, too. I mean, it sings, and when I fought it, kind of reminded me of Shyren's attack patterns. It could be Metaton, because they're pink. And also, there's other white things there, and, you know, white, you know, Napstablook is white. But, you know, I guess it could all be ghosts, and maybe we're gonna have to kill Metaton and 50 Napstablooks. I don't know. There's also this room with a ton of white monsters, which, from what the people online have been saying, it's supposed to parallel the No Mercy grind that you have to do in Undertale if you want to get that ending. And they all are white monsters, which, I mean, they could be goats, they could be dust, you know, piles of Asriel's dust. That's not a theory that I believe, it's just very funny. There's also this room with 4 yellow lizards and a gray fish. Now, again, this is really just me riffing off of what people have been saying online, or at least predicting, theorizing online, that maybe the yellow ones represent Alphys and the gray fish could be Undyne. I mean, her armor is gray in Undertale, and from what it looks like, her armor would be gray in Deltarune too, from what we can see of her Dark World variants. Now, one of the things that I saw someone mention is that after you kill the gray fish, all of the yellow lizards just die. And someone compared that to how in the neutral routes of Undertale, Alphys just kind of quote-unquote goes missing, which, to be blunt, I always interpreted that as she, in the least non-violent interpretation I had, just kind of locked herself up in the True Lab, you know? She also could have killed herself, but I don't really know. So, maybe something similar happens in the weird route. Mainly the killing herself part. I don't really know. Again, Alphys isn't a character that I'm particularly good at knowing what their character is, if I'm gonna be honest. So, you know, you have your own interpretations. I don't know how... I mean, it's gonna be dark. I mean, come on. The Chapter 4 Weird Route was terrifying, and that was a small one. But I don't know if it'll get, you know, that serious. But, hey, what do I know? Toby Fox is the writer, not me. There's also the room after you get out of the basement where Tenna's like, man, Spampton is a guy that I knew once. Then he turns to Chris and is like, yo, Chris, wait, you remember our deal. You won't kill me, right? But then you kill him. But that's not really a prediction, because even, like, you know, the knight kills Tenna. And even if you don't have all the Chapter 3 recruits, then he stays dead. Because I'm pretty sure you don't bring him back to the castle town. And I doubt you give him off to Metaton. Also, Chris does do more damage to Tenna when fighting if the sword route's completed. There's also different check dialogue. I don't really know if this means anything. It might just be a thing to give us a big ol' scare. But who knows? Maybe Chapter 5 will have Tenna be born again. And then we're gonna have to kill him for the first time, because the knight kills him in Chapter 3. But how will it end? That's what this whole thing's about, right? The future. You don't care about what. You don't care about the in-between. You care about the ending. So if the sword route's anything to go off of, it will end by us going into the bunker and meeting a funky little fellow called Aram. Or the Mantle. They don't actually have an official canon name. I'm pretty sure in the files they're just called Mantle, but their soundtrack or their theme is called Aram, so that's what people have been calling them. I personally prefer that over Mantle, because I'm pretty sure they're not the Shadow Mantle. But despite names, whatever, I'm just gonna call them Aram because I think it's funnier. Not funnier, cooler. One of the things about Aram, though, is that they know a surprising amount. They know that Chris is searching for the Shadow Crystals. Then again, I'm pretty sure that just kind of appears on whatever save, even if you haven't found a single shadow crystal. So I don't think that means anything. I just think it's a weird thing, but I never really know. They also know that we're doing the weird routes, because they openly have weird route only dialogue that, says, hey Chris, I know you enjoyed yesterday. So, maybe is Aram watching us? I mean, they say it pretty bluntly that they can see in the dark. And you know who else we've seen kind of stalking us around is the little friendo. And Aram does have the ability to spawn friendos, as we can see in their fight. So, despite the fact that Aram is in the bunker and has all this weird stuff and being able to summon the friendos, seeing in the dark, all that, I don't think they're Gaster or the Knights. I mean, that's should go without saying. I think they are their own character. Gaster and the Knight are the only characters that we kind of know for sure are in the bunker. I mean, I guess we don't know if Gaster's in the bunker. It's just that their little sound thing plays around the bunker. So they probably are in there. Now, they could be the friendo themselves. I don't think they have a gender yet. Or maybe they won't ever. I never know. But they could be the friend. It's possible that they are different since, Aram does summon many of them during your fight with them. So, you don't really know. However, I do think, despite this, I think Aram's going to be important. Because that 3 is, frankly, a very big 3. And I don't think it'd be as big as Chapter 2 if it was only just saying to casual players, hey, there's another route. I think Aram is very likely to be quite an important character later on down the weird route. Maybe they're like a weird route only boss. I mean, they do actually have the battle against a true hero leitmotif. I think it's a leitmotif. I don't know this stuff. I think leitmotif is the correct way to say it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. You get what I'm trying to say. They have that ba-ba-ba-ba-da-da, in the theme, their battle theme, Burning Eyes, which refers to Chris's eyes. But, anyway, I think you're going to fight Aram for one reason or another. I mean, you already do, but I mean, like, physically, not just on a weird computer screen. Anyway, despite that, even if you do, I don't think they are going to be the final boss. And I need to clarify here, this is theorizing, this is going to sound stupid, but, hey, if you want to make a good theory, you're going to have to make a stupid one. Because Aram isn't the final character that you encounter in the sword route. The final character that you have a confrontation with, the very end of the sword route, is Chris. Now, I'm not saying that, Chris is going to have a boss fight. I'm not saying that Chris is going to be, have Megalovania and suddenly get god powers. In fact, I think it'd probably be a very easy fight, considering the fact that if you just hit them with your blade once, they immediately fall over. So, I think it's going to be less of an actual fighting them and more of, discarding them, shedding your body of them and becoming probably your vessel, I mean, the whole, you were used up thing, Kind of the same thing with Noelle. I realize I haven't really talked about where Noelle is. Chances are she is really being treated as more of a means to an end for us. And that, we don't... That's the whole reason why we're constantly, telling her what to do, trying to break down her mind. So that she can pretty much be a puppet for us to just use and throw away, At least that's how I see it. Now, for how everything is going to end up for Chris... Honestly, it doesn't seem the worst. I mean, it does seem pretty bad, I'll give it that, but Gerson in Chapter 4 has some dialogue, both if you say you're going nowhere, and also if during the tea time, or just during the tea time in general, I'm pretty sure he has unique dialogue. I haven't fully checked, but if you want to see a video entirely about the weird route differences, go check out Two Left Thumbs. They have a pretty good video on it. Might link it in the description, might not, depends if I remember. Anyway, a lot of the lines here that Gerson says, especially the just keep living, everything will be alright sooner or later, makes it seem to imply that Chris is probably not going to be in a really, they'll be in a bad mental state, most likely. I mean, they're in a terrible one right now, but they'll probably be able to, quote-unquote, recover. Not fully, obviously, but they'll be able to live their life. They'll be able to, you know, they won't be dead at the end of it, you know? In a couple years, they'll be living the best life that they possibly can, you know? At least that's what I'm getting from this. Although for everyone else, might not be the best, because this is also Weird Route only dialogue. Not the first line. The first line, I think, is just if you hug Rousey at all. But where Rousey pretty much is saying, it's possible that if we get a different thing from whatever the final prophecy is, could be worse. So, it does seem like the ending of the Weird Route will diverge from whatever the prophecy is, but will result in a worse fate than whatever the final prophecy said would happen. You know, it's also possible that the opposite could happen. I know some people have theorized that it's actually the Weird Route that's diverging, and that the normal route that's diverging, and the Weird Route that is keeping it on track. But I don't really know. I actually personally think that it's probably that we're diverging, because I don't know why this dialogue would be different specifically in the Weird Route if it wasn't going to be worse. Who knows? Tony may be tricking me. I don't know. Anyway, the final thing I want to talk about for this video is that when will the SnowGrave / Weird Route end? Because the roadmap only says, you know, numbers 1 through 5. There's no chapter 6 or 7. We don't know if chapter 6 or 7 will have a Weird Route, and that has made some people say that they think chapter 5 will be the end of the Weird Route. Now here's my counterpoint. What do we know about chapter 6 and 7? Because, genuinely, I don't think we've seen anything. No sneak peeks, no little drops, not even in-game. Gerson only says chapter 6 was written. He doesn't even say what it's about, other than he just says chapter 6 was written, chapter 7 wasn't, because Alvin was too much of a baby to write it. And the prophecies themselves, you know, there's only 2 ones that we don't exactly know what they're about. One about a ring, and the other one about the Tail of Hell. I forget what the ring one specifically is, but I don't think it's about the thorn ring. It has like little, it doesn't have thorns on it, at least in the prophecy image. Now, the Tail of Hell, people have said, does seem like it might have to do with Friendo, considering Friendo is a cat. I think that's, like, practically confirmed now, with the whole thing at the start of chapter 3 of them looking like Androgyny from Undertale. But, yeah, no. I can't really say if it's going to continue in chapter 6 or 7, but I'm going to assume that it probably will, and my only evidence for that is that if chapter 5 was the end, why would it be smaller than chapter 2? I mean, like, either way, whatever happens in the final one, it's probably going to change the entire chapter. Chapter 5 is going to have less changes than chapter 2. I don't really see how that would be the end. But yeah, no. End of the day, what do I know? It may end at chapter 5, it may not. But there is only one thing that I truly am questioning at the end of all of this. What the heck is this cactus? Why is it here? At the very start of the 3rd secret minigame, if you go into what was originally the shop, because actually, little trivia fun fact, the secret 3rd minigame actually has a good variant where you play it with Tenna, and he asks you about cowboy shows! And it's unused, it's probably still left in because it's a funny little thing, but for some reason, if you go into the shop, in the secret version, in the 3rd one, there's a cactus here. Why is it here? You can kill it if you kill Rousey and Susie, but it doesn't change anything. Why is it here? Why is it here? Why?